Welcome back to The Square. I'm your host, Curtis the Fifth.
And I'm Curtis the Fourth.
We are back talking football. We've actually have a football game under our belt this year. So this week, it's football season. I got to see guys hit each other. It was fun. A little bit scary for Chase Claypool after that game. I mean, had that little catch, injury, fall, whatever he injured, but it looks like he's fine. He's going to be back. But just to see football again, see live action. Micah Parsons was on the field. Didn't get any Dak Prescott, no Ezekiel Elliott, no Ben Roethlisberger. Got a lot of Najee Harris, so that was a little bit of a plus this past week. But nobody cares about either one of those divisions right now. We're talking about the AFC West this week in our continuation of the divisional preview. This is a show for Curtis 4. For him to go ahead and dive into his fandom this week. I get mine in a couple more weeks. So
yep.
We'll go ahead and talk about the AFC West. We'll go ahead and look at some divisional predictions, see where these guys might rank, and some of these teams will fall, and kind of predict some records as well. Always looking at the biggest offseason additions and subtractions and some of the biggest storylines heading into this season. So we'll go ahead and dive right into that. Let's just start with let's look at the bottom of this division. And work our way up here.
Sure.
In last place, I think we would agree here on who we have bringing up the rear of this division. I got Denver.
Absolutely.
Okay. It was kind of they had kind of got their hopes up pretty high with the possibility of going after an Aaron Rodgers or a Deshaun Watson or what have you, but neither of those have panned out so far. Doesn't look like anything's going to happen on the Deshaun Watson front at this time. So that,
or even further, we even thought there was going to be a possible Justin Fields over there.
True. Yeah. Oh, yeah. All throughout the draft.
About that.
Yeah. So yeah, that is definitely.
I would have lost the house because I would have put everything on the fact that Denver was going to take Justin Fields, and it didn't happen. So.
Yeah, I was definitely shocked by the Patrick Surtain pick there.
You and the rest of the world.
I mean, because to me, after you pick up a Kyle Fuller, what do you need Patrick Surtain for?
Along with their re-signings.
Yeah, they got Justin Simmons back, and they re-signed another safety as well. I mean, you've got a good DB situation for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I did not think that they needed to shore that up anyhow, but they felt the need for it. It's not a bad pick by any means. It's just not the one I would have chosen. But I am a huge fan of Denver for passing on him, so definitely not really concerned there. But to me, you can't really run into the season with Drew Lock. I mean, obviously Teddy Bridgewater is there, and he's the favorite to get the starting nod there. But let's just look at some of their additions this offseason. So, like I said, Patrick Surtain in the draft was kind of their biggest signing there. And then Kyle Fuller and Ronald Darby, which, again, more corners that they added on. They really didn't hit in the offensive line department. They didn't. I mean, they got depth in a lot of different positions, but they didn't get any home run signings, in my opinion, outside of the cornerbacks. And then they lost Phillip Lindsay, let him walk, and Juwan James ended up on IR, but now he's off the team. They cut him completely after he filed a lawsuit against them and lost. So,
right.
This with this situation here, I like they have a really good jumping off point to me for rebuilding. Just get your thoughts on that.
Just kind of reiterate what you've been saying. They really had some really solid pickups, some interesting free agent pickups as well. Starting on the offensive side of the ball, picking up like Mike Boone came over from Minnesota. Not sure how they're going to utilize this guy, but the fact that they still got Royce Freeman on the roster is kind of interesting. But that's not the point of why I was saying that. But they picked, they drafted Javonte Williams.
Man, that name is 5 years old now. When last time he was good, 2016.
Oh, there was actually good attached to it because he was just always underachieving. I know
Fair.
he was a lot of
Fair.
prospect.
I'm not.
Trust me, I bought into it in fantasy at one point.
I will say,
not
I
pay
guess
off.
2016 was the last time he had potential.
Or relevance. Right. And then, of course, they Levante Bellamy, 1 year, player coming into the second year. But, they got some depth here. But, I mean, the question is how many of these guys are going to stay? How many,
Yeah.
What I think from the running back aspect, I think the focus would be really, of course, they got the Melvin Gordon, but the Javonte Williams and possibly Mike Boone. That's where your big signings are.
Yeah.
They bring over Teddy Bridgewater.
Huge.
And after doing a little more extensive research on Denver to find out he's more mainly coming in there as a mentor, and
is that really what they're trying to do here?
Yes. And if it's necessary for him to step in, I mean, they just ask.
So they are going with Drew Lock.
They're trying to. I think they're giving themselves every opportunity to see if Drew Lock is ready to go. But at the same time,
where Denver is going to be in immense pain in this division. I think Teddy Bridgewater still has a lot to give this league, and for you to try to use he's not even 30 yet. What is he? 28?
Bridgewater is 29.
29. Oh, so
I would think this is my guess. If I had to make a guess, I think Bridgewater is just trying to be the company man. I'm gonna come in and do whatever they ask me to do, and I think it's more of his audition for whether it's to take over this job at some point or to go elsewhere. But
well, I don't think Drew Lock or
waves.
Teddy Bridgewater are going to be here next year in Denver. I think both of them are going to be moving on after this season. But that's a losing battle for Denver. I think just. You're in a division that's tough already. You're not winning this division to me. Not with your roster. Like I said, you have a good jumping off point to build.
Winning the division.
Go ahead. We'll get into them in a minute. Relax.
I'm sorry. I thought it was funny. Like, who said that?
Well, that's all. That's every team's goal is to win the division. But for them, you're in a situation where you have one absolute powerhouse and another very, very good team in this division. One that you could fight with, obviously, but I think that they're even better than you in this division right now. And we'll get into Vegas in a second. It's been 2 years and I still keep saying Oakland.
Trust me, it's gonna take a while for anybody that's a diehard NFL fan to just keep saying Vegas. Like it does not roll off.
It does not at all,
or organically at all. But Vegas is great. It's the Raiders though. Like the Raiders are known to be in Oakland. I mean, that's just what it is.
I'm gonna probably mess that up all season long. So just bear with me on that.
Don't even have to correct yourself. Just keep going. I get it.
But for Denver specifically, like like I said, you're not winning this division already. Don't just tank it.
Mm-hmm.
Give yourself the best opportunity to see what you got with some of the young guys on this offense. Especially give yourself the best chance at seeing what you have at running back with Melvin Gordon. I know it's kind of a put up or shut up year for him,
right?
With his contract. So if you want to re-sign him on a cheaper deal, or if you just want to move on and go elsewhere with it, that's perfectly fine. But you got to give all of your young and all of your kind of stars on the offensive side and on the defensive side the best opportunity to showcase what they have, to know what you want to do moving forward.
Right.
I mean, you've got a really solid core, and you have what I think is one of the best defensive head coaches in the league in Vic Fangio. It's really sad to see that he left Chicago. But man, I really think that Denver, you're in a rebuild, especially with the division that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
This is a very tough division, and it's going to be hard to kind of climb out of the cellar of this division. So I don't see any reason why you would kind of set yourself back from evaluating your team at the best potential, because you've seen what this team is with Drew Lock. It's not that great. You got pieces, but I think Teddy Bridgewater could bring this team together. I mean, you saw him before he got injured in Minnesota. He was actually on his way to being one of the on the top end of starting quarterbacks.
Right.
And the knee goes out, obviously, but he wasn't horrible in Carolina.
Not at all.
It was not his fault that team didn't win. I think it was actually kind of a testament to him that they won 6-7 games.
Mm-hmm.
Like that team was not in any position to win last year, even 5 if it was that. I think Teddy Bridgewater's kind of getting the
$5,000.
Yeah, he's getting the short end of the stick when it comes to his ability and what he's able to do, to me anyway.
And, I mean, somehow he's been given, like you were saying, a kind of a bum rap. Like even after he was moved on from Minnesota, all of a sudden he has just been regimented to backup roles.
Yeah.
It's like he did nothing to merit him being a backup right now, and then he earns his way back through by way of Carolina because why is his name Kyle? Is it
Kyle Allen?
Kyle Allen. Once he basically after the first 2 weeks kind of crapped the bed, for the rest of the duration of his time in there, and then he came in and kind of saved the day and kind of helped hold the ship together as best as possible. But they were kind of depleted a bit on the offensive end, anyways. Of course, CMC was out. And
you lose the most dynamic running back in the league, and your offense is going to take a hit. Of course, your production is going to take a hit. Everybody's game planning for CMC when you come into the week, especially when you don't have weapons outside of DJ Moore on the outside.
Right.
So, like, I just come on, like this.
Yeah,
Denver,
he's just there. He's teams are just kind of just souring on him for some reason or another. But yet it's a head scratcher for some of these other quarterbacks that's around. I'm not gonna go into names, but yeah, and again, that's why I feel he's just auditioning to finally give himself a true opportunity to to be a starter somewhere, whether it's that Denver, in which you feel is not gonna happen. And I'm not. I don't have a hard take on them keeping him, but it was interesting that they made a trade for him and then they passed on Fields. That's the only reason why I'm trying to give some relevance to this. Like, okay, what was that about? Is that just we doing all this just to say we doing this for 1 year and we just gonna clean house and then recoup next year and see where we're at?
But what does it matter? You have Drew Lock in the quarterback room. Because even if you do go with Teddy Bridgewater, he has the potential to get injured, especially in a 17-game season.
Right.
At some point, you may have to play him, and you've seen how inept this offense is with Drew Lock in there at starting quarterback. So I just really don't like the move there. I think that they should kind of embrace that they're in a rebuild and kind of. You don't have to tank because you're not going to win a lot of games regardless.
But let me say, there's someone in the fold that might possibly be just a diamond in the rough, and that's Brett Rippon. Son of I'm sorry, you don't know him, but father of Mark Rippon.
I know
Super Bowl winning quarterback. I'm just there. Denver just has a history of getting the sons of the all-time greats of the past type of thing. I'm just saying nostalgically. It has not been a bust per se. They have done this like once every decade for the last several decades.
I get that, and
I'm not saying he's going to be ready next year. But
I get exactly. I know. I mean, yes, he's got the blood of a legend in his veins.
Just saying that may be.
But the only person that I would get excited for before seeing them on the field is the Manning kid. That's the only quarterback that I would get excited for before seeing him on the field, just off name alone.
Gotcha.
Like. Outside of that, I'm like, okay, like I'm over it. I want to see you play first, and hey, if he does have it in him, if he is that diamond in the rough, just to kind of sleeper cell type agent kid who comes in and is slinging it, awesome. Why did you trade for Teddy Bridgewater then?
Just to get a guy time. I don't know, but the point being is, I do. Barring the Drew Lock thing, I like the Teddy Bridgewater signing. I like the fact that Brett Rippon is just still on the roster and they're still possibly, grooming this guy to see what they really have with him. And then there's Drew Lock. Whatever, I'm not big on Drew Lock, as you already know. But
neither am I. I mean,
most people
I do like him as a person. He's a cool dude. It's just as a quarterback, he's very, very raw. He's got a big arm. He can throw the ball. Like he can get it downfield. It's just a matter of accuracy. I've seen guys throw the ball. I've seen the guys with a cannon arm with no accuracy and no regard for what the defense is doing.
Right.
It doesn't work.
In all fairness, I mean, Denver's offense has been in flux for the last several seasons. I mean, look, I guess we should have led with that. But I mean, and that's no I'm not taking it away from Drew Lock, but Drew Lock has been given a lot of opportunities, and there has not just been a whole lot of success. So there's not a lot to go off of, and can't get super excited if I was a Denver fan just to say Drew Lock's coming back now. Like you can't spin me on this until it's almost like you got to show me at this point. I'm done with the talk. It's just either he's gonna put up or shut up.
I mean, if he does, that's awesome. If he's been working on his game all off season and he's back to being some guy that you definitely think can lead this team, especially because he already has the rapport with Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton for sure. That I understand that. But from what I've seen from him, I've watched him all 3 years he's been in the league. It's not been impressive. It's just, and he showed a lot of promise in year 2. Year 3 was a very big disappointment. I was really high on him going into last year.
Wow.
And obviously that did not pan out. He just, I don't know exactly what it is. It could have been the changeover from whoever there was there before, I forget, and then Vic Fangio.
What was his name? Oh my gosh. Never mind. Keep going.
Was it Kubiak?
He was. I think he was there twice on 2 different stints. Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, it doesn't matter. It's the changeover. It definitely could have been that, but to me, regardless of it, if it was a changeover or not, there, even towards the end of the season, when you have a lot of those reps under your belt, he just wasn't hitting his marks, and he was making poor decision after poor decision. And in this division, you have really no margin for error. No. Kansas City and the Chargers, you cannot miss offensively against these guys because you won't get the ball back.
And that's absolutely true. That's why, as much as I scour through their roster, they are literally the team of the future, like for this division, because they're set up. They're very young. They only have 10 players that's 30 years or older, and the oldest player on their team is 33. So
that Fuller?
No, that's
Von Miller.
Nope. Jackson, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Let me get his whole name out here. Lost my spot. Who is that? Yeah, here he is. Kareem Jackson.
Kareem Jackson is the oldest player on that roster.
Defensive back, 33 years old.
Okay. And they've got a lot of young ones too.
That's what I'm getting at.
Jesiah Kyle Fuller and Ronald Darby, and you've got Patrick Surtain as well. That's insane.
So I mean, if nothing else,
their defense is good.
I was gonna say exactly. I was gonna say this team is positioning themselves for. Now this is the little cliche. They're 2 years away. Period. I would just say from being possibly relevant. Not saying that now I'm going to do the 2 years away from being 2 years away. They're not that bad.
No, they're not.
But they have a lot of promise.
They're no Houston.
No, you play chess. They're setting the pieces up on the board to start making some moves. Not necessarily this year.
I really like the leadership of Vic Fangio. A lot of people didn't like because he's kind of this old school guy. He doesn't want you to say anything, but he takes kind of after the Belichick model of just do your job. I don't care what it is. I've created a scheme. You play your role within that scheme, whatever play it is, whatever down it is, whatever distance it is. You play in that little area. You perfect that, and we'll be just fine. And that's how 2018 Chicago's defense was the best in the league. Most takeaways because they just had guys in spots.
Wow, their defense is nice.
Yeah, I mean, I really like their defense. It's just offensively, it definitely gives me these 2018, 2019 vibes of Chicago, where it's just like, man, quarterback wise, come on, like because you've got really nice weapons on the outside. You've got a decent running back in Melvin Gordon. You've got a middling offensive line. The offensive line really needs work.
You got a serviceable tight end and Noah Fant.
Exactly. And it's just like, and a young tight end and Noah Fant at that. So just going into that, I'm just like, man, this is going to look really, really bad. They're going to have some really, really nice things to look at on the defensive side. But when it comes to offense, I feel bad for Denver fans because you're going to be very, very frustrated. It looks exactly like, it's going to be exactly like 2019 in Chicago. It's just, you're looking at it, it's just like, you're just wasting how good this defense is.
Yeah, as you keep alluding to, it's unfortunate the division that they slated under. Because I mean, could have slid them over to the South. Whole different kind of conversation we were having about this, like
competing for second place.
Exactly. Like, okay, we can fast forward the 2 years to like 6 months or maybe somewhere around weeks 8 or 9 they should make their turn. But they're definitely, this year is just kind of like they're steering the ship to the right direction and just see how far we can go with it. But it should be an evaluated year. But again, speaking again to the quarterbacks, that is going to be the big question mark. Like, what exactly is the direction at the helm?
Yeah,
because I'm just not sure. But
one thing a little bit off topic I did want to mention, going back to our conversation last week about the AFC South, does look like a report came out this morning. Carson Wentz and Quentin Nelson are both ahead of schedule. They're both walking around the facility right now with no boot, no limp. So
I didn't hear anything about that. Okay, I'm glad. Oh well, okay, we can DEFCON 1 now.
Yeah, literally just
let's turn the
reset it.
Down, right?
Yeah, I was seeing. I think actually Pat McAfee was talking about it. It was just like, everybody hit the alarm bells. It's over. We got to bust the whole thing up. We got to fire everybody. Nope. They re-signed Chris Ballard and Frank Reich to, I think, 6-year deals. And then literally right after that happened, another report came out. Hey, look at that. Carson Wentz is walking around with no boot, no limp. Like,
damn, Chicago. You supposed to slid. Nick Foles under there. Just man, got them at a desperate, in a vulnerable moment.
Yeah.
And they didn't. I'm like, I guess I'm just gonna have to live with the fact that we just gonna have to eat this contract for one more year.
Yeah. I will say I'm hoping Carson Wentz does get back for week 1. I would love to see him from the start of the season to the end. Quentin Nelson wise, even if he is ready to go, I would even hold him out for another week, maybe 2, just to be safe with him, because you don't want him to re-injure that and be out for longer. But Carson Wentz wise, I mean, he's not going to take as many hits they still, without Quentin Nelson, have one of the best offensive lines in all of football. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing if Carson Wentz can make it back for week 1.
Well, if you're saying they're ahead of schedule, they didn't really have a timetable in the first place, but I think all signs will be pointing to him coming back.
Well, that's what they're saying. That's their target. Have him ready for week 1.
Exactly.
I don't think we're going to see much of him in these preseason games. Maybe in the third preseason game we might see him, but even with that, we do still have a week break in between the last preseason game and week 1. So
I would be shocked if he plays at all in the preseason. But if he does, he does. But I mean, because at the same time, he's just been traded.
Yeah, and he still needs reps with these guys. So,
exactly.
Like, I would like to see him in week 3 of the preseason. But if you do want to wait until the season starts, I mean, definitely get that. But
gotcha.
Let's get back to the AFC West.
Yep.
I guess 2 weeks ago we were talking about that. Talking about NFC South last week.
Yes.
No. So let's go ahead and talk about Vegas Raiders. Got it right this time.
Right.
Yeah, this team, I like their picks. I like their pickups for the most part this offseason. I just have a real hard time looking at this roster and just being like, yeah, I can see this team competing for with the Chargers. Like, it's just
they were neck and neck last year.
I know.
And I know after last season, I know it seemed like LA is taking these monumental jumps from just the moves they made based on how the direction of the franchise is going, taking how Vegas was trending down toward the end of the year. But yet they kind of the same team, but I still get a vibe and I still give an extra edge to the Chargers. They upside is just, it's clearly an advantage.
To have a freaking quarterback, there's no question there. I think with Justin Herbert, and I'm not trying to take a shot at Derek Carr, because I do think Derek Carr is he's a solid guy. It's just there's still questions about him.
Right.
With Justin Herbert, everybody's like, this dude can do it. Like, there's no question about that. He can move. He can take a hit. He can throw. He's got an arm. He's accurate as hell. Like, it's just across the board. Like, this dude checks all the boxes. Whereas Derek Carr, can you stay healthy? Can you work under duress? He can obviously read coverages. He can obviously fit the ball in the tight windows. It's just decision making as in just under pressure, making sure you're making the right reads and getting the ball out on time. And leadership wise, the more and more I see of Derek Carr, it's just, I don't want this to come off as disrespectful, because he just seems very whiny to me.
Really?
Yeah. To me, with everything, anytime anybody gets any sort of criticism, he takes it to heart. And it's like, dude, it's your job. And I get, obviously, I can't be an NFL quarterback. You can't do that. Like, it is a very tough job.
Tell me what I can do.
Couldn't even cut out with the high school running backs. Neither one of us could do it.
Hey. I lasted for one season.
So did I. I made it all the way through.
Hey,
special teams king over here.
As a sophomore, get it right. Then I retired.
I walked on my senior year.
All right. Like how we spin our stories.
No, what I'm saying is it's one of the toughest jobs in all of sports is to lead this team of 53 and have all the media pressure on you.
Mm-hmm.
If you're winning, it's all about you. If you're losing, it's all about you. It's a very tough thing. But the second that there's any criticism, it's like, well, there's this, that, and I mean, and you guys want to come do my job, you could definitely come do that. And it's like, dude, chill.
I
like
haven't
we're
heard
just
too many of his interviews. I was like, I'm sitting
there. They're very. It's very. You know what? It's very Minnesotan. It's so passive aggressive.
Interesting.
It doesn't, and a lot of people don't pick it up. It's just I think that me watching Minnesota Nice every day, I'm able to be like, quickly. Man, I'm like, geez, dude, like relax. Like we understand, we know you've been through a lot. There's been a lot of changeover. Is Chucky the right dude to still be coaching in the NFL? Is what's the guy's the GM over there? Is he still able to put together their team? He used to be a broadcaster. That's where I knew him from originally, but then he went over to the Raiders. And then, I mean, their offensive line isn't that good. We know that. I understand that, but you go in and you get Alex Leatherwood. I mean, they picked up Trayvon Moehrig. I like both the picks. I think they should have been flopped rounds 1 and 2 for Oakland. Yannick Ngakoue was a huge pickup as well. Mm-hmm. And then they also got Casey Hayward. So cool.
Mike Mayock.
Yeah, Mike Mayock. And then you lost Tack McKinley, you lost Tyrell Williams, and you lost LaMarcus Joyner. So, I mean, you got some give and take, but overall, I think it was a plus on that end. Mm-hmm. I don't see how Derek Carr can be a guy who's going to kind of embrace the challenge of chemistry-wise getting this team where it needs to be to go out and play a full 60 minutes of football week in, week out. And when you get in those rough patches, again, in this division, it's going to be tough. You're going to lose games in this division. Mm-hmm. I don't see Derek Carr being the guy to lead them through that. I think he's got a lot of ability. I think he's got a lot of talent. It's just I don't think he has the emotional maturity to lead this team from what I've seen.
Yeah. I you know me, what I'm about to get ready to say. When I say it, it'll make sense. But it's the pink elephant in the room that no one's talking about in regards to Derek Carr. Derek Carr has way more pressure on him than his counterpart over there in LA, which would be Justin Herbert. Because no one's talking about the fact that one of the most quietest signings that really got no press was when they re-signed Marcus Mariota. And I was like,
you were big on that signing.
Yes, because I'm like, why would they break their neck to go sign a backup when they can just pick up, draft
pick up anybody,
but they made it a point to re-sign him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, Derek Carr, the clock has started because that's just where we're at, and
Marcus Mariota didn't look bad when he came in last year for a play or two.
He didn't. He just, he overstayed his welcome
in Tennessee,
for lack of a better term. I mean, they didn't really put the right pieces around him either.
No, that was not a good.
You knew how big I was big on him in Oregon. I mean, I was huge on this guy. Like, and I like the sign. I like when he first went to Tennessee, but I just over the years, I don't think Tennessee built the team right for him.
Yeah,
But with that being said, yeah. They're in call it what you want to call it. They may not be saying it, but it's being Vegas, and now they're in year 2, and the expectations and fans are coming back.
Mm-hmm.
I expect Mariota to be playing this year. If Derek Carr gets out slow, I'm taking a Chicago model, even though it's a completely different thing going. But it's that quarterback waiting in the wing. Like, I really believe that they technically, it's just not really saying it, but it's a silent quarterback controversy going on here, or quarterback competition, I would say, not controversy. But Derek Carr has to be feeling this pressure because the fact that they re-signed him, I'm like, wow, that's huge. So I'm expecting to see this guy play at some point.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
No, well, I was going to ask you this because I wrote this question down after the draft and kind of looking at this team, and then free agency happened, and then we had the draft, obviously, and I'm just looking at this roster, and I'm like, okay, you got pieces here and there. Still got Derek Carr on the roster. I mean, he wasn't horrible last year, but he wasn't good, obviously. Like, there's questions everywhere, and I'm looking at it, and I go back, and I'm like, okay, Gruden's been here for, 3 years now? 4 years? This is year 4?
Oh, has it been that? Yeah, because now that I thought about it, he did pull off the Khalil Mack trade. That was him.
There. Yeah. So this is year 4.
I'm thinking 2 years. I'm like, no, that was 4 years ago. You're right. Yep.
So we're heading into year 4 now, and I'm looking at it just like, okay, he's got a 10-year deal. Okay. This is year 4. I mean, most of the stuff that you do movement-wise happens before the season. So let's say he's got 4 years of off seasons to kind of operate, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, I've got this team landing at around third place in this division. I don't have them over 500. Just to preface you guys with that before we get into the record predictions or anything like that. But still, I'm just like, what's Gruden's plan, really? Because we always say that it's one of his biggest kind of mantras is everybody looks at John Gruden as like his favorite quarterback is the next one. So, but hey, he hasn't moved off of Derek Carr as of late. I mean, he's not. It doesn't look like he's looking to move off of him. Like you said, though, he's kind of they made it a point to go get Marcus Mariota. So there's obviously some kind of his eyes are in a different place as it stands right now. And just the weird draft picks. It's like, okay, I had it penciled in. Trevon Moehrig to Vegas. Nobody else is looking at a safety around that position. Nobody else needs a safety in that area. If anybody needs a DB, it's the guys earlier, and they've got J.C. Horn and Patrick Surtain already on the board. After that, nobody else needs one. Like in that middle of the pack. And you went, and I'm like, okay, go get your guy. He is a first round talent to me. He is very good. Go get him, and then you go with, to me, a late second round talent in Alex Leatherwood in the first round. And now you got to pay this dude big money to play right tackle to protect Derek Carr. And if he doesn't pan out, I mean, I'm not saying second round talent isn't good. It's just like you're paying like really good first round money for a second round talent that you're going to have to develop.
I'm reminiscent of the opening scene of Draft Day. And this is with John Gruden. And he's just sitting there, Alex Leatherwood, no matter what. He written to himself some kind of way. Because it's like, you could have went a different way. However, I'm saying all that to say to be funny, but I'm saying all that to say, Gruden, if he did nothing else in his past, he's proven he's done some really oddball things, but it has came with results where
it worked because he still ended up with Trevon Moehrig. You're paying him cheaper now, and he is a first round talent to me. So you didn't waste the pick, but it's just like, why would you go out of your way to just pay this guy more money than you have to when you have a guy who's worth the money at that spot?
They like Leatherwood better.
He's a middling, like you're definitely going to have to put in quite a bit of work to get this dude to be a good starting tackle. Like, it's not going to be like I can just plug and play him and he'll be just fine. Like he's still a pretty raw prospect to me. Whereas Trevon Moehrig, I feel like you can just plug and play him. Like he can go out there and he can play safety. He knows the concepts. He just has to learn your buzzwords and kind of feel out what the linebackers are doing and when he needs to step up into those roles and when he needs to shift and how to shift his hit. Like there's a lot of stuff that he needs to learn, like kind of the nuances of the game. But rather, like, other than that, he knows what to do, and he can go out there and he can look like a pretty serviceable DB for the time being until he does learn those little fine intricacies of the game. And again, huge. I think one of the best signings out of any signing that happened over this offseason, outside of obviously Justin Fields to the Bears, Yannick Ngakoue to Oakland, or Vegas, god dang
Oakland.
it.
Just keep going.
Yannick Ngakoue to Vegas, I think, was huge. I mean, he definitely does bring a whole nother level of talent to this defensive line.
Yes.
So, like, again, they didn't have a horrible offseason. It's just, again, you're looking at the offensive side of the ball. You have to put up points in this division, and I just don't see how you. And then they signed like 7 different running backs when they already had Jacobs over there. And I'm like,
well, I will say they're still one of the Chiefs' offensive offensive guards. So
okay,
just Parker, Enhinger. I can't even say his name, but that's been me. I tracked everybody who left that team.
Yeah.
I wanted to know where they went. So Oakland, I mean, this is what I mean by Gruden. He does this little under the cover thing, and remember they flew under the radar most of the season and finished they finished 500. They stole a game from the Chiefs. They have a couple of notches on their belt that you. Unfortunately, I can't ignore that.
Yeah,
they are a true divisional contender. I'm not going to say they're contending for a playoff spot or they're a true playoff contender, but they're on deck. Where I don't think they're positioned as well as like maybe what we were sharing with Denver, but it's the Gruden effect. It doesn't make sense. It's one of those things. I just got to see what he does on the field because it's like behind the scenes, head scratching, But Gruden finds a way to get. He just finds a way to get stuff done.
But so the other thing is that from his time here in Vegas, or he was in Oakland, so it wouldn't have been wrong there. No, from his time being with this organization, second time. Did he win the championship in Oakland, or
you want to know the scenario? What happened? He built that team up,
and then they won without him, and then he went and
he built that team up to be. And they were next in line, but then the Tom Brady Tuck rule thing is
that's what happened.
That
gotcha.
Stole their championship. They were the team to beat that year.
Okay.
And so you see where this narrative is going.
Yeah, gotcha.
Tom Brady. Moving on. So the very next, I think it was either the next year or the year after that, what ended up happening because they fell short. I think it was the year after.
Yeah. Because he ended up going to Tampa, and that's when he won against Oakland.
Against Oakland, and it was against the very team he left. They didn't change the team. They did, it was just they changed coaches. But then, because everybody wasn't giving Gruden credit because they're like, oh, he just took over Dungy's team and he won it. Dungy built that team, right? But he
Dungy was in Tampa.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
I had no idea about that.
Oh, you're so young. Yeah,
all I know about Tony Dungy is that he is one of the most religious coaches in the league. He's a great coach, and obviously he's a Hall of Famer, and he won that Super Bowl at Indianapolis.
If I remember correctly, he got Tampa to 3 straight NFC championships. He couldn't get him over the hump.
Wow.
And then
because he's the first African American head coach to ever win a Super Bowl, correct?
Exactly. Because when he went over to Indianapolis, and then Gruden stepped in the very next year, he took over that team, but what validated everything was Gruden went against the team he built. Yeah. And he beat them. I'm like,
just for all the viewers, by the way, I was like 4 when all this happened, so don't come for me.
I wasn't even doing the math in my head yet. But that was like 2002.
It's like, don't come for me. Like, I was 4 when this happened. The fact that I know anything about this kind of goes to my level of research.
That Super Bowl was what I put the equivalency of last year's, the Tampa, Kansas. It had that same feel. Like,
really?
I like this. Like, it was like a sexy Super Bowl. Like, man, but in Oakland had a high-powered offense led by Rich Gannon.
Because I did actually, I've at one point I have kind of watched the highlights of that game. From what I remember, a lot of the guys from Oakland or from Tampa said that we just knew what was coming already because they didn't change anything. They were the exact same. Chucky knew exactly what they were gonna do, and they didn't even change their signals. Like he would be able to look over and just be like, "Well, get 42." Like he's running. Like.
They jumped in there. That's how the Super. I mean, they pounced on them right in the first quarter, and it was like it was a tone setter, and they just controlled the game. I'm like, what happened to this high-powered offense? Again, would have lost the farm.
Oh, that's the Tampa team with John Lynch?
Yes, Warren Sapp.
Oh my God, Putting everything together right now.
yeah, I mean, man, it was just like a high-powered offense versus a high-powered defense.
Yeah.
And again, defense prevailed.
Yeah. Defense won championships.
What in the world is these high-powered offenses just flame out in the Super Bowl time and time again? I was like, it's such a cliche, but it's so true to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But anyway, moving on. So,
but that's just all we say. All that to talk about specifically, like it's just that Gruden effect to this to this whole division. It's just like because what I was going to go back and say was from his time with this organization from right now, this second stint with Oakland, Vegas, he's gotten one game better every single year. I think he started 6-11, went 7-9, and now he's 8-8. And yeah, if you go along the trajectory, they should be 9-8 this offseason.
Yeah, but basically,
or possibly you can push them all the way up to 10-7. They have one less loss.
I would say if they 8-9, I mean, I don't know what to take from the extra game. Really, it was interesting. I heard an NFL player put it in perspective. He said most people think that players are saying like, it's one more game, it's one more week, that's another paycheck, yada yada yada. Yet that's not the way they're looking at it. They say, you know what this means? It's 60 or 70 more snaps we got to play, and that's 60 or 70 more snaps potentially getting injured.
Yeah,
so
again, I say
that's a very mixed view.
I did hear something very, very interesting. The only reason why they did not shrink the the preseason even more down to 2 or even down to no games, because they're holding on to those preseason games to cut them off, to add extra weeks, not to add more games. They are thinking about possibly going to an 18-game schedule, but really the main thing is that they might use it as a bargaining chip so that they can take away 2 weeks at a time and say, hey, we'll add another game, but hey, we'll give you another bye week at some point down the road. And if that happens, I think 2 bye weeks will kind of solve a lot of those kind of.
That's about all they need. I mean, because I like
an early one and a late one. That'll really, really give a lot of morale to these guys. That'll really. I mean, obviously,
needed. I mean, let's be real.
It's been needed when there was 16 games.
Exactly, and but I was also saying what was uniquely an advantage for the 17 game is they should have an odd number of games in football. I think it would go a long way to get away, and I'm good. I'm a little on the fence about ties. Because I'm kind of like, look, we need to determine winner. Like, I just think that it's interesting. I know it's unique to their sport, unlike as well as like I think hockey does have ties as well. Do they? If I'm not mistaken, or do they do sudden death?
No, they do. They do overtime. If you score in overtime, good, and then you do the shootout.
I don't want to get into a whole nother conversation. I was like, I think the NFL should start a shootout competition. But go ahead.
What I think the NFL should do, if you're really big on not having ties, is if you still want to go to 18 games, that's perfectly fine. You still don't have to deal with the ties. Go to the college football overtime rules.
Okay.
Screw this whole extra period or 10 minutes of football. We start from the 40, or even you can even push it up to the 30 if you really want to get point scoring. But you've got 4 downs. You've got 1 first down. Get in the end zone. Or kick a field goal. The other team has an opportunity to match. If they match, do it again.
Until somebody stops somebody.
Until somebody stops somebody, or somebody doesn't get to match.
Gotcha. I'm kind of open, but
because I think it eliminates. First of all, it eliminates any potential for injury on a kickoff.
Right.
Completely. Well, especially in overtime. Like if you want to have the kickoff still, and you want to go into all of that, that's perfectly fine. But you're not going to get injured in overtime doing that.
Gotcha.
And then you're starting from the 30 or the 40 or 35, wherever you want to put the ball. It doesn't matter. But the defense goes out there. You got to go out there and make a stop so your offense has a chance. Or there's a lot of pressure on that offense when they come out for that second for the match. And if you match, boom, it goes right back to them. They do it again.
I'm fine with that. I was fine with the clock. I was just what I didn't like is. I'm torn about the ties because ties are exciting when they happen, But now we remove. Let's go and fast forward 6-7 weeks from now. I'm like that tie comes back to haunt fans, the teams, and it's just like, this thing's a nuisance. Like, man, we need, So
I don't like ties when it happens because it means that there was bad play at the end of the game. Guys weren't able to finish. It's like
some would argue parity, but I wouldn't argue.
No, it's just because whenever anybody talks about a tie, my very first thought is that Arizona-Seattle game where they were missing field goals at the end of the game. I'm like, really, dude? Like, I don't want to see, like, obviously blocked field goals are nice. Those are like, okay, that's exciting. Got a blocked field goal. I mean, that gives me Baltimore-Cleveland vibes, where the Baltimore blocked it and scored on the last play of the game. Awesome. But just straight up missed field goals, just bad football. It's just you messed up. And I'm like, I want to see high quality play.
I'll do something where you couldn't. I know we veered off just a little bit. But
yeah.
I would have said I would have did something like each team gets 3, like an actual shootout, like soccer or something like that, where each team
3 plays from the 2.
No. It'd be like, mine would be real exotic, but it'd be like, look, each team gets 3 field goal kicks from the 50, and whoever get the most, that's and we determine it at the end of the first.
Would there be a line, or would you just
same play? It's but it's a 50-yarder.
Okay.
And I was like, but you get to do it 3 times, and now if you get 1, 2, or 3, and then the other team line them up, and that way no one gets hurt. No one has to do extra plays in the overtime. You don't even have to have a clock, and we can determine this very quickly. That's why. And you make the kicker position very much more relevant.
Yeah.
As I said, I was in something a little more exotic. I know that the NFL commissioner, you even
that will never.
That, oh my God, I would never think of doing something like. Yeah, you would. Yeah, and I'm sure somebody on that panel thought about it, and y'all just shot them down. But it's
Baltimore's. John Harbaugh's introduced a lot of different
It makes your special teams even more relevant than it has before, because what you're taking away from kickoffs, you can get it back in these overtimes, and you can eliminate the tie. Just an idea. Now let's get back to the Oakland, Vegas vibe way of Oakland. But yes, it was just a thought. But we sidebar for 5 minutes. So let's get back.
No, so I think that this team is just I'm not clear. I don't have a clear depiction of what Gruden's plan is for this team. Defensively, it's starting to kind of feel like the plan is coming into fruition defensively. Mm-hmm. Offensively, I still have no clue what this offense is supposed to be. Is it supposed to be all about Josh Jacobs and let's run the ball, let's ground and pound? Then what's going on with this offensive line? Right. Is it supposed to be about the quarterback? Well, you very clearly have questions about the quarterback. So what's the plan here? And with that, I know he's supposed to be this quarterback guru. He's got he used to have the QB camp and all that stuff, but it's just like, man, I really don't know. I have no clear outlook of all right, this is what Oakland's going to be this year. This is what I can see them doing. I just don't. I don't see them there offensively. Defensively, I'm like, okay, this team is going to be tough to get over. It's going to be a little bit of a dogfight with Vegas at that point, especially now that you've got fans in that new stadium. That's going to be huge. Mm-hmm. And the defense is going to feed off of that. But offensively, I don't know if the offense is going to match and be able to keep that hype going.
Right.
So just questions there from Oakland or from Vegas. God. Let's talk Chargers, because that's LA and I'm not going to mess that one up.
What's not San Diego?
No, that is the LA Chargers for sure.
Not the Rams?
Herbert, I think, is the talk of the town, obviously.
Yeah.
Well,
so big on this guy.
I know. Because I've never actually gotten your actual take on Herbert in his freshman year and getting the Rookie of the Year. What do you think about him?
I don't know. His whole story to me is so. He's legit. Let me be real. He is legit. He's a legit player. However, let me say what I need to say. Even in the face of that, he does not pass necessarily the eye test for me based on some other circumstances. Not something that he's not doing. It's just the fact that how he became the starter, which was the most bizarre thing ever. This guy should never be allowed to be around a medical staff ever.
I'm almost positive that man got fired.
He had. I mean, if
Rightfully
not
so.
sued, if not,
I know. I think that there's no way that the NFL will allow him to get sold.
Oh, I was gonna say Taylor himself.
No,
like,
I don't, because in his contract, I think like with the team, like you can't sue the medical staff because I know with those Toradol shots, they do say, hey, they're because that is an actual like real life, like they every single time that shot is administered, they're like that this is a possibility. We need verbal confirmation from you that you still want to go through with it.
Gotcha. Okay.
And every single time, everybody does, because it's like obviously this is a possibility, but it almost never happens.
Okay.
So that is their way of making sure that they can't get sued if by chance, like it did happen to Tyrod Taylor. So
Okay.
he literally cannot sue the team or the league for that happening.
That sucks. But with that being said, he comes in, all of a sudden it's like lightning in the bottle. Oh
Almost
my God.
beat Kansas
Have
City.
you seen what he did? Almost beat Kansas City. Well, beat
Patrick
him.
Mahomes happened though.
Well, didn't beat him. I mean, they won in week 17, but
I mean, they weren't planned for anything.
Don't count that game. Chad Henning, whatever.
They sat everybody. It wasn't Kansaz City. If Patrick Mahomes not playing, it's not Kansas City.
It was a situation. The coach is trying to save his job.
Exactly.
You know, it's like we have to win, regardless of what they're doing, and that's fine. But you know, and he had success all throughout the year. And you know, Austin Eckler goes down, which you know, which
always
shows
does.
that he puts more pressure on himself, and he was able to handle it and still be relevant and still, you know, they didn't win. They only won 7 games, but they were a tough out regardless. And like they were like, damn, like if you beat them, it was like you felt it. Like we had to work for this, and it looks all legit. But that's just like I'm so stuck on, dude. Where did you come from? Like, and
well, because I also think you didn't watch, because you still don't watch college football the way that I do.
No, heck no.
So I knew about him coming in, and he was actually one of my favorite draft picks.
And there's at the times when I do watch college football, every now and again I'll see somebody like, okay, this guy's gonna be special when he gets to the pros. It wasn't a lot of players like that. Just as an example for that position in itself, the last player I said that was special that I seen playing in college was Vince Young at Texas, and before him Michael Vick at Virginia Tech. And I mean Michael Vick, I was blown away. Yeah. In college, I'm like, this dude is pro ready now. Yeah. You know, so I didn't get that with Justin Herbert, but then he just steps in and okay.
To me, what happened? This is the comparison I can make. I know you didn't watch college football last year even, but you would still understand what I'm saying here. Justin Herbert last year is the equivalent to Justin Fields in the process this year, where everybody was just ragging on Justin Fields. They're like, oh, we really don't know if he's committed to it. We really don't know if he's got that drive to be the best or this, that, the other. Obviously he's got an arm. He can definitely throw it. He can definitely move, obviously. Like, all those things are clear, but, oh, he's just a product of that offense and those types of things. It's like, we weren't saying any of this stuff when we were watching him in college football. Why are we bringing this up? Why are we saying this now? Why are we disparaging him now for playing very well within this offense? And when I would watch Justin Herbert, it's just like, man, this dude, he's got all the pieces. He's got all the tools. Then he comes in and he's showed everybody. I mean, he broke almost every single rookie record when it came to quarterback play last year. This dude was insane. And I'm not saying that he's going to continue to do that. I don't think he's going to be the best of this. I think he's the best of that class. I don't know if he's going to be I think he can be a top 10 quarterback in the league. Maybe not specifically this year, but I think for his career, I think he's going to be in the league. He's going to be a top 10 quarterback.
If he can duplicate or play somewhere near what has happened in his first year, not taking anything away. It's just some other factors that I have. 3 specifically that I need to, that's giving me pause about this guy, which is answering the question or to complete the answer to the question. Game film and tendency now.
Yeah, that's always going to be a thing, but we got to see that.
New coach, and then sophomore slump. The the cloud of this sophomore slump. Not saying that it wouldn't necessarily hit him, but many do not pass this test in the second. It's just like a regression. But I'm just saying I have to see again, like Oakland, got to put it on the field.
To me,
got to see it. But
to me, I don't care about his numbers this year. I mean, obviously, I do think that this is going to be a team that's competing for the playoffs, but that's just based off of last year what they were able to do, and I do know that they're putting in a lot of work to just build around him specifically. So sophomore slump definitely could be a thing. His numbers could definitely dip. What I'm looking to see is that progression of, he's really reading these defenses better this year. He's making decisions better this year. Whether they drop the ball, it's an incomplete pass, maybe whatever. That doesn't matter. As long as he's accurate for one, and you can see the quick processing and the decision making that he's making behind center, that to me will show me everything that I need to know about what he specifically can be. Because again, this is the Chargers organization. Outside of that quick stint with Phillip Rivers where they were competing for the playoffs, this is a middling franchise at best. So I don't know about Brandon Staley. I mean, he had a good record wherever he was before. I can't even remember where he was before. But mind you, I mean, from what I know about him, he was okay there. I was not tagging him to be a head coaching candidate this off season, but hey, he got the job. Cool for him. Congrats. Let's see if you do have a better offense than what Lynn did beforehand. So
wow. Well, he had a quite interesting resume.
Yeah.
Played at John Carroll in Ohio. Played at James Madison.
Okay.
Tennessee for 1 year, but he was a graduate assistant. Hutchinson in Kansas.
He's been everywhere.
Yeah, some of these were junior colleges, of course.
Yeah.
But then his first 3 years, he started in Northern Illinois. Okay, he got my respect. But I mean, he had a very, I mean, man, goodness. He was an outside linebackers coach at the Bears for 2 seasons. He was the Denver Broncos outside linebacker coach.
Yeah.
And then he was defensive coordinator last year. Wow, for the Rams.
For the Rams. Okay. I knew he was. I didn't know he was still in LA. Okay.
Yeah. So
I knew he was. I knew he was a coordinator somewhere.
I mean, I like his resume is fine. I mean, it's solid. Yeah, that's a very good way of putting it. But
I don't have an I don't have an issue with it, but I do think like, okay, if he does have a dip, he's going from Anthony Lynn to Brandon Staley. I think that they kept the same OC, but I could be wrong about that.
I think he was there.
Yeah. So maybe it's all the same offensively and they can just go and run it back there. I am not the biggest fan of Austin Eckler. I don't really like the guys that can't play more than, I mean, running back position, nobody plays all 16 games, but I don't like guys that can't really play more than 13 games a season, where you're obviously you got to sit a couple of times a year and maybe you only go in for a couple of drives and you sit for the rest of the game. Your guys are up by 1,000 and you don't have to worry about it. But when Austin Eckler is playing, like, he's always, every other week, it feels like he's out. Or he's limited. Or he's got a snap count this week. It's like, cool, dude. Like, you were great as the backup for Melvin Gordon. Like, you when you didn't have to be that bell cow, fantastic. I just don't think he has a body to be every down back. And he has a talent. He just doesn't have the health to be able to do that. So I do have some concerns there, but you just got to look at what they did this prior offseason. And they went out in the draft. They got Rashawn Slater. I think one of the other really big signing was Corey Linsley at center. And then Asante Samuel Jr. Was drafted to this team also at corner. So they've got...
Yeah, we were pretty big on their draft picks.
Yeah. I mean, Rashawn Slater, to me, was my number one offensive lineman in this draft. I had him above Penei Sewell.
Right.
So, to me, Rashawn Slater out of Northwestern, that's going to be huge to have, especially if he can stay healthy. Corey Linsley is one of the best centers in the league, and he just didn't want to re-sign with Green Bay.
True, and that's all. And this is still I'm circling all the way back around to my thoughts about Justin
Herbert.
Can't even say this man's name. I always struggle with his name.
Yeah.
Anyway, with that being said, it's for what this is me. What I'm assessing. Call it a hot take. Don't call it a hot take. I think I've come to, after assessing this division, I think it's quite possibly the Chargers may have the worst defense in the division. I'm not saying it's bad. It's a bad defense, but what I'm saying, if I had to rank them, they might be ranked last in this division. And for their defenses, I like them.
I don't think it's a hot take at all. Denver
Well,
has
I'm
an
just
insane
saying,
defense.
because some people may be like, "Oh no, it's got to be Vegas." Some people even say the Chiefs. I'm like, because they think they're hiding behind, Mahomes. But I don't want. We'll get to the Chiefs in a minute.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think if there was man, they won 7 games last year. That was because of Herbert. So I understand what happened, but it was also no one seen them coming either. I'm like, okay, they're ready. And I'm not saying that means you can't overcome it. It's just this whole division, I'm just waiting because I'm like, I know where my ranks are.
Yeah.
I understand that. But if it all got shuffled outside of one, would not surprise me. It's like, because from a division standpoint, I think this has been for quite some time one of the best divisions in football for quite some years.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, AFC West it's even if you're not an AFC West fan, how can you not respect and get excited for what they put out?
The West in general in the NFL has been,
my goodness.
God,
I mean, it's
these are the
really
gauntlets
the wild,
here.
Wild West. Like my
it's tough.
goodness. Yes. And it's just, so when I look at two asterisks losses for the Chiefs last year, when I see it, they both came in their division, it ain't come at no surprise. It's like, I'm like, man, they escaped with just 2. Because, I mean, if there's ever to be an upset, all of these divisions, even the Denver game, they could sit there and surprise you. And actually, you go out there to Mile High, you can't breathe properly. All of a sudden, you don't find yourself on the losing end of a 31-28 game, and now you're going home with your head, between your legs and barely can breathe. But, so it's just, but I'm trying to get a pulse for the Chargers. And as an organization, I just never have. But what he did was impressive. But it's just one of those. I got to see more. I'm sorry. I get what you did last year, but I think last year was last year. That's all I'm saying.
Fair.
I'm not saying that this guy can't play. He showed me that. I'm like, okay, someone that's a fluke couldn't do what he did last year.
Oh no,
that's not a fluke. He's
the real
quarterback.
I think at worst, he's a C+ quarterback. At worst.
I'll give you that. I probably would have gave him a B just for the sake of what he did. But I do understand what you're saying, because in light of everything I'm saying, that would be fair. But if there's somebody said a B, fair.
I think that he is. I think he's a B+ quarterback as it stands right now. To me, I think the biggest thing that he needs to work on is being able to read defense pre-snap.
Gotcha.
But that's every young quarterback.
We asking a rookie to do so much.
Exactly,
right?
like he's a rookie quarterback.
And that's why
a year 2 quarterback.
It's just like I don't want to preface like I'm so down on him. It's just like I'm not sure who this guy is.
And that is a perfectly fine way to look at it. To me, I'm ready for the next wave of quarterbacks. So I'm very high on these young QBs. but I'm not saying that he's going to be the best thing. I mean, obviously, the best young quarterback out of anybody is the man who just signed a 10-year freaking deal in Patrick Mahomes in this division. He's the best quarterback in the league, period.
Some people would say Josh Allen's deal was moving on.
Well, Josh Allen's deal might be technically better by the year average. I think by like year 3 of his deal, he's supposed to have.
I get it.
More money.
I get it, but Patrick Mahomes over here signing baseball deals right now. And
he owns the Royals. He owns the soccer team in Kansas City.
About to bring Whataburger there.
He's about to bring Whataburger, and he's trying to get one. Like, if the team is going to relocate or they're going to expand the NBA, he's trying to get one in Kansas City. Like this dude is like, I am here.
I love this guy. They have had a Kansas. I mean, you can imagine an NBA team in Kansas. Hey, that's pre my year. That's some stuff I read back in the record books back in the day. Like,
yeah, I think we talked about that last time we were talking about basketball. There's the Kansas City team in the record books. I was like, whoa, okay, but
it's the same thing. Like that predates me.
Missouri,
so.
period. Exactly. They don't play basketball at all.
Barely can keep a football team. You know? Can't keep a football team. Lost it twice.
No, so just with this team, I'm just like
St. Louis, by the way, people.
Yeah,
pay attention.
With the Chargers though, I'm just looking at them and I'm like, okay, he's young. He definitely still has a lot to learn, but based off of his just raw talent alone, this dude has a cannon of an arm. He's very mobile, and from what we've seen already, he's got a very good rapport with his team, but he's a very good leader. He's not going to shy away from the moment at all. You've already got guys.
Oh, I got a hot take now. No, I'm kidding. Possibly. You see where their backup quarterback is?
No, I don't care. I don't think they're ever going to get any playtime.
Chase Daniels.
Damn. I like Chase Daniels.
I thought you were like that. All I'm saying, I got a hot take. We might have a quarterback controversy.
Don't even start. No, just
he's not gonna see the light of day.
No, he's not. But I do. I think that's huge. If he goes down, Chase Daniels. Oh my God,
you have another starter. Like, Chase Daniels should be starting somewhere. And you seen what he did in Chicago. What
I'm gonna say, hot take. I'll take Chase Daniels in Washington over Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Absolutely. You're more down on. I like Fitzpatrick for what he can do as a game manager right now. However, I would take. I mean, he is 35, but he put this guy.
Ryan Fitzpatrick is like 39.
I understand, but he was more accomplished in his time. He had more opportunities.
He had more opportunities. I was going to say.
I'm just saying, at 35, I don't want to get super excited. Yeah. Like, he only have a few more years, but he has a small window. But I'm like, his time is now, and I'm like, I like the fact that they backed him up with the proper guy.
Yeah,
that's great, but that doesn't do anything for Chase Daniels. You know,
true.
Man, you could be like you saying, you should be starting in Washington right about now.
Yeah,
and let Fitzpatrick back you up. You know.
God, oh my goodness, those two you Chase Daniels starting and Ryan Fitzpatrick backing. Oh my God, that team is lethal.
Washington, you missed your window.
Yeah, they really messed up.
But to see him backing them up, I was just like, oh,
yeah,
they're nice at quarterback, one way or the other.
But as I was saying, it's just Herbert to me. His one flaw, if you will, is that he's young and he hasn't had an opportunity to look at all of these defenses already and be well versed in every single defensive playbook and in every defensive tell. And yeah, he gets caught up sometimes and has to take a second to think.
Yeah,
understood. But he's had another offseason just as much as they've got tape on him now. He's got tape on more of these other defenses as well, and he's been just sitting at home studying.
True, but all of this is new. All of it.
Yeah, true.
Now this is the first offseason. We could say, no one had one, but hell, he was a rookie last year. Sorry.
Yeah.
But other teams have, other defenses have, but it's these elements that I don't want to ignore it, and I understand. And they're in this AFC West, and it's just, man, if you're the real deal, he'll just sort through that, and that's fine. Yeah. I just need to see it this year.
Yeah, and to me, if he does have I don't even want to call it regression. If he just has a year that's statistically worse than last year, I'm not gonna be like, oh no, we were all wrong about him, and woe is Justin Herbert if he can ever get back to his 20 self and whatnot. No. He was a rookie quarterback. Like you said, they didn't have any film on him. They had no offseason to see what he could do. He was put on. He just got thrown out there in week 5, and just hit the ground. You got to go.
Who started the first few weeks?
Tyrod Taylor. Remember, got stabbed in the.
I thought that happened before week 1. I thought
no, it was a couple of weeks into the season.
I wasn't,
because they didn't play Kansas City to start the season.
Okay.
Because I do distinctly remember I watched the Indianapolis Minnesota game before this.
Okay.
And then literally I was like, I turned over because it was in that midday window. Turned over, watch it, and I was like, that's Herbert. Where's Tyra Taylor? And I checked my phone. I was like, oh my God. Like, it was just, I remember that vividly, watching that entire situation unfold in real time.
Wow.
Because they kicked off, and then they was like, okay, Justin Herbert's trotting out there. Like, what the hell is Justin Herbert doing on the field? Wasn't ready for it. But to me, yes, he's second year. He's been through a lot. He's only played so many games. And yes, if he's statistically worse, that's fine. As long as, again, what I'm looking for Justin Herbert in year 2 is not to win the division, for one. If he can make it to the playoffs, awesome. That's just a plus. All I want to see out of Justin Herbert now that you've actually built around him, I want to see specifically if you can make better reads pre-snap and during the play, and if he can continue having the accuracy and getting that to closer to 70% than closer to 60%, I'm happy. I'm happy to see just that progression alone, because those are to me the only 2 real flaws in his game.
Got it.
So I like the situation LA has. I do think that they're going to be close, and they're going to be in that fight for that wild card spot. But we all know who's winning the division. And let's talk about it, and let's let you fanboy out over here.
All right. Well, we already know who's coming in at number 1 in the AFC, not just the AFC West. I just blew up the rest of the divisions.
By the way, they're number 1 in my power rank because they're the number 1 in the NFL
Absolutely.
to me.
I got them number 1 in the West.
Yeah.
I did put them at number 2 out of just this sentimental respect that I'm going to give Tampa Bay just at the beginning of the year. And I'm done after this. When week 1 starts, it's a shake up at 1. I'm just giving them their respect because they took advantage of a situation.
Yeah.
Called the Super Bowl. And come on, man, they're running away with this. This top to bottom, offensively, nothing needs to be said. We're going to come back to it anyway.
Yeah.
But their defense, which I think the league and a lot of people around the league, especially, in general, have slept on this defense. Like, they are a complete team. Which you rarely see teams with a high-powered offense and a good defense.
Yeah.
Usually the defense is just suffering, and that is just not the case. And this team is, for as long as I've been watching Andy Reid coach, I'm like, what in the world was you doing in Philadelphia, man? You had every opportunity to do that in Philadelphia, and he just didn't. You know, he was like, he would flicker here and there.
From what's happening in Philadelphia right now, they've got some issues. So I wouldn't be surprised if they got in the way. So.
And it is what it is. But come on, man. I mean, they spent the whole offseason. Like, look here, y'all. We ain't got to improve nothing but where our issue is. Offensive line. They went out there and got 2 offensive lines.
I literally wrote this down. They went from the most injured, worst backup offensive line situation to me, the very best offensive line situation in the entire league. There is no other team that is this deep at offensive line.
No, I think they have made it a point to say this will never
happen again.
Ever happen again to us. And we like, for them to have to lose what they lose now, no one can fault them. And it would be the most ridiculous, unheard of thing ever. That how did you lose damn near 12 offensive linemen? It's just, and if that's the case, there's a problem going on in the NFL. We need to look at the rules again, and because this player safety is not in play. Now, let's move away from all that fictitious nonsense. As competitive as the division is, we already know Kansas City's running away with this one.
Yeah.
The AFC West, look, there's going to be 6 seats at the table in the playoffs. They got the number 1 seed.
There's 7.
Because they got the number 1 seed.
Yeah.
They're 7. There's 6 other teams.
Yeah.
That's all I'm just saying. There's 6 seats waiting on the rest of the A.
There's 15 guys playing for 6 seats.
Basically.
Yeah.
So it's because number 1 is locked up. It's Kansas City, hands down. From them, where do we want to start? Do we want to start on offense or the defense? Let's just, you choose.
So I'll just go through their additions and subtractions. Let's start with what they lost, because they got some pretty, not big ones. I think they lost what they needed to. They trimmed the fat, to me. Like they cleaned up the roster with who they let go. I will say the biggest one being Eric Fisher. That's a big loss.
Yes.
Left tackle Eric Fisher gone. Staple of Kansas City, the face of the offensive line in Kansas City.
Yep.
You lost him, and that's big. But then Sammy Watkins, wide receiver. Thank you for your service. I bid you adieu. Rashad Beeland.
No self-respecting Chiefs fan really felt the sting of that. It was kind of like, all right, because his last year, he was non-existent.
It's basically saying, bye, Sammy Watkins. Hi, we still have Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, right. Pringle, and Hardman. Like, we're good. Like, bye. Like, see you later.
Exactly.
Like, they still got an insane receiving core. Hands, like, they are not worried about that position. Now,
you can't forget the burner. I don't think you mentioned him.
Who? Pringle?
Pringle's the up and coming one. Marcus Robinson.
Oh, Robinson's still over there. Yeah.
The burner.
Yeah. Well, the burner is Tyreek Hill. So.
Huh?
Well, it's Cheetah.
That was the whole point. That's why they were the Legion of Zoom.
Yeah.
It's like, which I don't understand why they kept throwing Sammy Watkins in that. Like, dude, you the slowest one of the bunch. You serious?
He's slower than Pringle.
He was just a starter.
Yeah.
When they did that, they was.
He's just as slow as Travis Kelce.
They would lump him in there, but did you notice that he's the one that's not there?
Yeah.
Exactly.
He's not fast.
Pringle was the other guy.
Yeah.
So, yeah. They're all burners. But, I mean, he's no Tyreek Hill, but he's right behind. DeMarcus Robinson's like right behind him.
Is he? I thought
DeMarcus
Hardman
Robinson
was the other fast one. Because whenever I watch him, I'm like, okay.
It was him too.
Because those two, because whenever we would see them playing, it's Hardman on one side and Tyreek Hill on the other. They're both going down the field. It literally looked like whenever Patrick Mahomes snapped the ball, just Hardman and Tyreek Hill were having a race.
Let me tell you what the problem was. And that was true. The issue was DeMarcus Robinson and Hardman kept coming in for each
other.
And they kept leaving Sammy Watkins out there. That was the difference.
So you're going to see all three of them on the field this year.
Yeah. Now they are. And then you add in
There is no defense outside of, okay, I will say this. Outside of Denver's defensive backing core, I don't think there's, not that they can keep up with them, just the fact that they have so many DBs that they could throw out in a nickel package. They could just try to mitigate the speed that this.
I seen what just happened here. That you brought that up. Denver did the equivalency to what Kansas City did with the offensive line. They like, we're going to get every defensive back known to man to try to stop this one team, and we got bodies. We're going to throw everybody. Very smart Denver, but it is
100% what everybody used to do in the East when they were playing against LeBron. It's just like, I don't care about anybody else on this floor. Basically. We are on you.
Exactly. I'm like, you're not going to beat us. All 11 other guys can whoop our tails, but you're not going to beat us. But that's that's why a lot of people are down on DeMarcus Robinson. I don't like the way they used him last year.
That's fair.
They was using him sparingly.
And when you got 3,000 different receivers, that happens.
Yeah, but he's now the number 3 guy. If not,
so are we still leaving Pringle as the number 4?
That's
because I like Pringle.
That's the beauty of this damn offense. They're 4 deep technically, so it's like I think they
got 4 legit starters. To me, I mean, if you want to say Pringle's a number 2 and he's a bench player, I get that. But to me, if he was anywhere else, he's like, to me, he'd be what Darnell Mooney is in Chicago.
Right. And where is he? Where's Pringle at?
What's this, year 3 or year 2?
I'm 3.
And
he's 6'1", so he's more of a big, he's one of the big, he's taking that Sammy Watkins role type. It just is his size. He's not huge, but I'm like, you've seen Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
Ain't like 5'2".
Yeah, Tyreek Hill's tiny. and apparently he's actually about to have a race with Usain Bolt.
Him at 5'10", but I don't believe that. But really?
Yeah, he's trying to get apparently, and it's actually a pretty big bet that they're putting on it. Tyreek Hill is putting a wager of his Super Bowl ring, and Usain Bolt is putting a wager of one of his Olympic gold medals. Whoever wins gets the gold, or gets the trophy.
How many gold medals do Usain Bolt have?
He has at least 9 because he did the triple. No, yeah, he did the triple in the last 3: 2016, 2012, and 2008.
I'm gonna be very clear about this. Ain't no one gold medal gonna equal to equivalency of 1 Super Bowl ring.
Agreed.
I'm like, dude, you got to go. You got to give
not
up
one of
5 of
Usain
those.
Bolt's gold, like somebody from like the Philippines that got a gold. Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Right. I'm like,
not Usain Bolt.
I'm like, yo, where's the other 4 medals at? You know, before I even fork over this 1 ring. I'm like, and if I'm Tyreek Hill, I'm getting a duplicate because I'm keeping my ring. I'm never giving my. Are you serious?
Yeah, they're doing a 70-meter race.
When is this?
There's no. It literally it happened that Usain Bolt responded 7 hours ago, and he said that he's in because Tyreek Hill's been kind of talking at a wall this whole time, and putting stuff up on Twitter, and he ended up Usain Bolt finally responded to it, saying that he would be interested in a 70-meter race since Usain Bolt's 100 meters is kind of his bread and butter. 40-yard dash is Tyreek Hill's. Let's meet in the middle. Let's do 70. Which
interesting.
But that's literally as far as it's gone so far. As that one person's been saying one thing, Usain Bolt finally responded today.
Got it. And wow, just for depth purposes. I mean, we've been naming all these weapons, and there's an Antonio Callaway that they added.
He went over to Kansas City. My goodness.
They are 5 deep, and we haven't even gotten to the tight ends.
Yeah. Did they get another tight end?
Well, they drafted one.
Did they? I didn't even realize. I didn't look that deep into the draft for them.
Noah Gray from Duke.
Wow. Okay. Well, let's talk about some of their additions.
I'm done, man. Look, can we just get to the chase? They went in the Super Bowl this year. I'm sorry.
They're my favorites.
Yeah, because Tampa Bay is not going back. I'm throwing it out there right now.
I think I said this last week when we talked about the NFC South. I do not have Tampa winning the NFC by any means.
Right.
I do not believe that they will be able to go through that gauntlet again.
Right. I think they'll win a division. I do believe that they'll go to the playoffs, but they're going to get railroaded.
They might even get the number 1 seed and get that bye.
Right.
And that's perfectly fine by me, especially when you have a second place schedule since you let New Orleans beat you last year.
Right. I mean, you might get to the NFC Championship possibly because you only had to win 1 game if they get the first seed.
True, yeah.
I'm just saying there's a possibility, but what I'm saying is you're not getting out of that conference championship game.
Because to me, what's going to happen is that my favorites to win the NFC, I don't think I've stated this before.
No, I wasn't trying to get into predictions, but go ahead, finish your thought.
I think that it's going to be a little bit of an upset when LA beats them in the divisional round.
The Sharks?
No, the Rams. I think the Rams will beat them in the division round because the Rams, and we'll get into them next week.
Yes,
they are in a very tough division. Everybody in this division is going to be knocking each other off. But I'm really high on the Rams and Matthew Stafford and them going in there. They'll be in that 4 seed range. I think that whoever wins that division is probably going to be the 4 seed, just based off of everybody beating each other. And then boom, you're looking at a second round matchup between the number 1 and the number 4. I think that in the divisional round we might see Tampa get upset by a very hungry Matthew Stafford and LA Rams, where that team will just be able to take them on. Now, what I will say is AFC is a gauntlet as well this year, for sure.
Right.
I mean, especially if Indianapolis is getting Carson Wentz back very soon. This is going to be one of the toughest roads back to the Super Bowl ever. So, if they can go ahead and win that entire conference, which I do think that they could with the way that their roster is, my only concern with this team is, and I've said it to this to you multiple times, I just have an issue with their defensive back situation. Defensively as a whole, their front 7 is amazing, and I have no problem with that. It's just I feel like it might be a Dallas situation where you can get thrown on. Obviously, they have one of the better safeties in the league with Honey Badger over there.
He's actually a cornerback.
They're listening at corner?
That's right. This year, maybe they swapped him. I thought he was a
safety. Yeah, to me, he plays safety, and he plays strong safety because he comes down and plays linebacker a lot.
Yeah, and that's probably what he's going to still play. I think he's prototypically a cornerback, but he doesn't play corner with Kansas City at all.
No, and especially when they had Breland over there. There's no reason to put him there. Now maybe this year they are transitioning him into that, but then they have no safeties to me. So like,
picked up Will Parks from Denver.
Doesn't do it for me.
I'm just
I know like I said,
they did not.
But like I'm saying, that just with that alone, I mean that's a weak defensive back situation right now. Not saying that that's going to be the detriment of this team, because you're going to have to outscore this team for sure.
They did get 4 rookie DBs though. I mean I mean I understand we're still in training camp,
but I don't know if these rookies can come in and just step in and just be that dude.
Oh my God!
I really like Nick Bolton. You definitely upgraded your linebacking core for sure with Nick Bolton. And you got Creed Humphrey in the draft as well. So, and he's one of my favorite centers in the draft.
Charvarius Ward, I mean, along with the Honey Badger. I mean, they got and as you were saying, in fairness, this is
that's their whole
trickiest part is this defensive backfield. And that's always been as a fan, I've had an issue with.
Yeah.
Why in the hell, after you put up 48 points and I look over and they got 35?
Yeah.
What in the world is going on here, man? I'm like, y'all not even a shootout team. It was like, why are you allowing the defense just kind of just.
But that's also when they didn't have linebackers
plays.
And they didn't have a defensive line. Their defense was a problem before. Now their defense, like you said, is good. My only concern is the defensive back situation, and I don't want it to look like Dallas, where you're putting up 48 points like you were saying, and it's like, okay, well, we're still on edge because they just keep dropping bombs over us. And if Justin Herbert is that dude in the division twice a year, he's going to have a field day with those DBs. Exactly. So that's my only concern. But to me, even with that concern being like, and I actually have a true like, okay, they can really get beat here type of feel. Whereas you were looking at it like, well, they got guys, they can put somebody there. They just need to put a body there. That's fine. And if that's the case, if it's not as glaring as it looks to me as it stands right now today before we even play the first preseason game, then I will take my lumps and I still will say, hey, Kansas City, I have them winning the AFC. I have them winning the Super Bowl this year. So I'm not saying that it's going to be their detriment. It's just a concern that I have.
And it's a very fair one because it has been a concern over the last several years, which is, I think, is what the consensus, or that when people look at their defense, it's kind of like, oh, I guess they're okay, even because you're looking, we're used to seeing them giving up the big play.
Yeah,
and I'm like, but okay, take away those few big plays. There's a lot of plays. They're making stops, and
And this is the reason why I think that this team is even like this team, to me, for the most part, is set up. And the only reason why I have Buffalo so close to them is because of the DB situation. But when they have a front seven like they do, their rival in the AFC is who? Baltimore.
Exactly.
Your front seven is so good, and that's the reason why I don't think that they've been ever able to beat Kansas City.
They have one more rival, but they're not. I don't think it's going to be one this year. It's Pittsburgh. But go ahead. I don't want to try to change the subject. It was just.
But to me, since Patrick Mahomes has taken the helm, Pittsburgh's not really a threat, in my opinion.
Not in the playoffs. Regular season, I don't.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, you can get got any day.
There's this Kansas City issue I have where Kansas City, as great as they are, there's no rhyme or reason about their success and their failures in regards to whether they play at home or on the road, because they are notorious for, going on the road. They go on the road and snatch a win.
Yeah.
But we'll go home and just lay an egg for some reason or another. It's like, why in the world, when it's the biggest game on the stage and a team comes to your home, more times than not, they lose that game, which makes it's completely against the grain. Like, and that's why I brought up Pittsburgh, because Pittsburgh seems to have their number in Kansas City for some strange reason. Like, why can't y'all beat this team at home? I just don't. And it does not even matter what type of Pittsburgh team comes out there. It's just something. Which is an issue with me with Pittsburgh's coach, because it's like, if you can coach like that, why are you not coaching all your games that way? Because you seem like you go all out for Kansas City and then you just we're good. Next man up nonsense. Anywhere
and let
else.
Baltimore walk all over you.
Right. No
When
question.
Kansas City is beating Baltimore.
Hell, now you about to let Cleveland do it. If not, Cincinnati might snag one from you this year. And I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be.
Cincinnati is
100% on board.
Cincinnati is not a. There's no doormat in that league. If there is, it's Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And that's the point. So yeah, this is a new day in that division. But back to the West and back to the Chiefs specifically, as you were saying, that will be it. Their defensive backfield, and you've harped on it more times than I have. I probably just don't even want to talk about it.
Yeah, which I get. I mean, because to me, it's the same thing with Chicago's defense. Their DB situation is
Right.
not, and Chicago's is worse.
Yeah, that's true.
So, like, I'm just like, okay, let's. I just don't see. I see that being, if they're going to get beat anyway, it's going to be through attacking the defensive backs of Kansas City.
Gotcha.
I will say this, back to a quick thing that we were talking about earlier. Tyreek Hill is actually 5'10". That's insane. I did not know he was that tall.
I mean, I said it really quick, but I was like, I don't think he's that tall. I mean, personally, but
I mean,
okay.
for the NFL, 5'10" is very short, but
short in any major sport technically.
Well,
but,
yeah, true.
But yeah, they say 5'10". I mean, I can
they always lie about it too, so he could actually be 5'8".
5'7", 5'8", about my height. But that's fine. I mean, teach his own. That's fine. But
no, but what I was gonna, off of that subject, it's again, like I said, that is the only hole that I see, and I don't see it being the thing that's going to stop them from winning a Super Bowl. Wherever, like you said, they got guys, they've got bodies, so I'm not concerned to a point where they're going to lose a lot of games. I mean, let's just talk about records here. I have them at 14-3. Like this team,
I got them at 13-4.
I have them in the best record of all the NFL, and I had two other teams at 13-4. So I had to put them I got to give them another win.
I wanted to. Unfortunately, it's just it was for the very thing I've said. They have this tendency of dropping a home game. Looked at their schedule. Look, I said 13-4. Look, if they come out of here
17-0, I won't be surprised.
You won't hear nothing out of me. 16-1. Okay, like I said, they're winning the Super Bowl.
This team is that good.
I'm not excited right now. I'm really composed because I'm just at the point where this has become a new norm for me. So now, like a year 3, more mature, like, yeah, we're winning the Super Bowl. Like, you ain't hear me say that the last couple of years. I just been kind of like,
yeah, they're good.
I don't want to jinx it. Screw that. I'm like, man, and I would say let's bring on Tampa Bay, but I'm like, no, I don't think so because, I had a nice little magical run last year, and that's great. But y'all time's done. So
I would say if they beat,
care for that bringing it back nonsense and that wizardry nonsense y'all just pulled off anyway. I want that to blow up right in their face. So now they got to eat all that money at the end of the day with no title. So
I really don't see them winning the title this year. Especially not against Kansas City, but even against any other team that comes out of the AFC. Whether it's Buffalo, Baltimore, Cleveland, Indianapolis, the Chargers, like I really don't see Tampa Bay. First of all, like I said, I don't even see them getting to the Super Bowl, but I don't see them winning it either. So, man, this is like you said, I think this is this is the second toughest division in this conference to me. Maybe the third toughest in all of football, though.
I can see that. That's fair.
So, yeah.
Very accurate.
We're
talking about what, the
AFC North
or AFC North. Okay, I was making sure.
AFC North to me is the second.
No, I'm sorry. I was saying AFC. I'm thinking NFC as I'm saying AFC, but I'm thinking like NFC West or NFC South.
NFC West is the toughest.
Gotcha.
AFC North I think is a little bit more tough than this division, and then it's this one. AFC
That's fair.
West.
That's fair because you would say something like, the NFC East. What?
No, absolutely not. I guess the only other division that I think would actually rival the AFC West is the NFC North. NFC North, I think, is sneaky.
That's the one on the rise.
Yeah. This is going to be a division that's going to be very tough to compete in. I don't think Green Bay is going away even after Aaron Rodgers leaves.
Not necessarily. And that'd be interesting to see what happens with that in the offseason. And they're gonna
depending on this Kellen Mond situation in Minnesota and whoever might be the successor to Kirk Cousins, they could be a very tough team. I like the core that the Lions have for the most part. They've made some strides in the last couple of years that I'm not enamored with, but I am like, okay, I can see where you're going with a couple of these pieces. And obviously, you know where I'm at with Chicago. I think that they have a potential of actually winning the division, depending on what Justin Fields is.
My question is, if you get cut, what color is your blood? Is it blue or is it orange? I'm just curious. Does it come out in a swirl?
I am a diehard Bears fan, and I do. But I think I'm the biggest critic of them, and I do think that they're a quarterback away. So honestly, I don't understand, and we'll get into this in a couple of weeks. I don't understand the Bears slander when we know Andy Dalton is better than Nick Foles and Trubisky combined. So if they were a quarterback away, which we were all saying last year, and they've got a better quarterback, whether it's Justin Fields or Andy Dalton,
true.
Why are we talking about them like they're going to be less than 500 this year?
Because we said this way. I mean, I don't even know what episode it was. Way back in early this year or what. The Bears just don't get no freaking respect in the media. They're like the walking punchline, and I'm not even understanding why. Like, is it the whole spoof on the Bears? Is it any of that type of nonsense? Which is, that's for us. For Bears fans, that ain't got nothing to do with the rest of you all. And like the fact is, we just taking up the airways with this. You don't have a fan base to even have characters like this. I mean, we're one of the historical pillars. That's what we do. And yet, this whole new school, new wave of just NFL want to just do away.
Yeah.
We're not going anywhere. The Bears are going to be there whether they win a Super Bowl or not. They're going to always be a storyline. But again, the media always wants to spin it. They just want to be the butt end of somebody's joke for some strange reason. And I'm like, you know what? Joke's on y'all with this Justin Fields thing. Because I'm like, you all screwed up. I don't know. We were not ever supposed to get this guy. The fact that we got it made it even 100 times better. Like, we pulled off something
I think this is the biggest draft day steal of all time.
The Bears are never in a position to do this.
Just think about the draft picks that Chicago gave up next year's first round and Kadarius Toney for Justin Fields. Sorry, I will take that any day of the week. Next year's first round pick and Kadarius freaking Toney, a dude that I don't think is going to pan out in this league.
Yeah, that remains to be. You went to the Giants. I mean, that alone, and you ain't even have to say Kadarius Toney. It's just where you went.
And you're sitting behind Kenny Golladay and Slater over there,
and Shepard. He's still there.
Yeah. God, gee,
I mean, they got some okay. We talking about these other the Chiefs.
Yeah,
that's just.
Well, I think we've harped on it enough. They're winning the league. Like this team is again, barring any injuries, this is the team to beat. Like this team is, and like you said, you respectfully put Tampa Bay number one. I said
for week one.
I said screw the respect factor of it. Who is the better roster today? It's Kansas City. They had a better offseason.
Because they had the better team last year. They just did not have the line.
Yeah.
That was it. And then I would say let's run it back, but I'm like, no, I don't think you all deserve to be back there to run it back. It's just sorry, Tampa. So moving on.
Did they play them throughout the season at all? Because if you can get that revenge game out in the regular season, that's fine.
Right.
You don't need it to be the Super Bowl. Let's just beat you in the regular season. Let's keep it moving. I don't think they do because they're not a second place.
Nope.
Yeah.
Get Cleveland, but we don't get them.
Damn.
Football team. Get Tennessee. Just going to the highlights. Of course, they gave us the Packers.
Yeah, that's that interdivisional number one.
I like that Dallas one. I really would like to see. This is just me. I would love to see these two teams play in the Super Bowl. Dallas and Kansas City.
No,
that's on my list.
So you're Dallas is a franchise. Yes, this Dallas team. This team absolutely not.
As you were saying, I'm saying as a franchise, that would have been, especially after what happened last year. It just they're on the list. Of course, I would love to see the Chiefs and the Bears in the Super Bowl.
That would be a dream Super Bowl for me.
But my other one was Dallas. I like how those
Pat Mahomes versus Russell Watson.
Seattle was the other one that I did
Okay.
have that. That was because when Russ
that
was
could be
cooking,
this year.
when Russ was cooking, I
Yeah.
was like, could you imagine these
Russ
each other?
versus has that even happened yet? Have we seen Russ versus Kansas City
I
yet?
don't think so. I'm sure he had to play him at some point, but I don't think.
Well,
it's
he's only
anytime
had
recent.
2 years of starting, or 3 years now.
We're researching.
I don't know
Keep
if
talking
I
about it.
haven't seen them yet. So I mean, that's just me. I mean, I don't care who it is. For me, the Bears making it to the conference championship anytime in the next 3 years, I'll be enamored. I will say in the next 5 years, be on the lookout. Chicago is going to be a sneaky.
They did. I remember this.
What game was that?
This was in this December 2018. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Patrick Mahomes was there, and Seattle won 38-31.
Ooh.
Let me get the true date on this one. Just give me a second.
What I was saying is, I will say in the next 5 years, keep a lookout for Chicago being a sneaky Super Bowl candidate, because this team is a lot better than I think a lot of people realize, and we'll get into it in the preview. Like the Chargers, like the Denver Broncos, a little bit better than Oakland, or Vegas. I think Chicago has a very, very bright future with the draft picks that they've had. I still really like Nagy as a head coach, and I still really like just the core defensive structure that the Bears have. So I did think we could be looking at week 20.
No, it was in 2020 is what I was saying.
Oh, wow. Okay. I do not remember that game at all for some reason.
Oh, is that? Now I'm not seeing it. Don't mind me. I'm getting some very troubling information here.
No, December 23rd, 2018 was the last time that
that's
they played
what
together.
I wasn't sure it was an 18. I kind of faintly remember that game, but I think this is, if I'm not mistaken, this is Patrick Mahomes' rookie year.
Oh, so maybe he didn't even play.
Right.
No. This has to be the. Oof.
Don't ask me why I'm drawing a blank on this game. It's just so long ago. But
No,
this wasn't a thing back then.
No, this was his second. This is his second season. This is the year after he sat. So this is his first year playing. Yeah,
right. It wasn't a thing yet. So, but yet.
Yeah, he was a thing at this time because he had freaking 50 touchdowns this year.
By December.
By the end of the season, he ended up with 50. He was over 40 at this point.
I mean, he was doing a Justin Herbert thing, but my point being is Russell Wilson was established.
Oh yeah,
it's
for
not
sure.
the whole. He was not Patrick Mahomes as we know him right now. You know what I'm saying? He was just this fresh young sensation that was fine, but it did not hold the magnitude as to how we look at him if you hear the name Mahomes today. You know.
I'm going to say this. This is completely off topic, but this stat line for this game, this had to be one of the best games of the entire year. Patrick Mahomes, 273, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Russell Wilson, 271, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Chris Carson, 27 carries for 116 yards, 2 touchdowns. Damian Williams, 13 carries for 103 yards, no touchdowns. Receiving rise, Tyreek Hill, 4 for 74. Travis Kelce, 5 for 54. Chris Conley, 3 for 54. Damian Williams, 7 for 37. Man.
He just hit everybody.
Kendrick West, 2 for 37. Demarcus Robinson, 2 for 17. And then the last 3 all had touchdowns. Seahawks.
Got it to everybody.
Doug Baldwin was still in the league. 7 for 126 and a touchdown.
That guy, people?
Man, he was on my team this year.
That's Tyler
Tyreek
Lockett
Hill,
now.
4 for 99, no touchdowns. Ed Dixon, Jesus Christ. 3 for 19 and a touchdown. Nick Vannett, 2 for 11 and a touchdown. That was a highlight fest.
I'm have to go on YouTube and check this game back. I faintly remember watching this game because it was.
I think I must have. This game must have not been able to.
Changing of the guards. It was really putting Mahomes kind of on the map. But Seattle came out with the victory. That was the thing.
Gotcha.
So at the end of the day, Russ cooked.
Yeah. But so did Mahomes. So
yeah, he did. But that's one of the again, 38-31.
Oh, and this was on Sunday Night Football as well. It was a night game. So I must have watched this game. Never mind. All right. Well, let's call this. Do you have a question of the day or no?
No, I don't, unfortunately.
All right.
For the West.
Yeah.
Wow. No, I don't.
I guess my question would be MVP of the division. Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes. Where do you think those guys fall within that race? Leave it at that. I just want to know what everybody else's take is on Justin Herbert and how he compares within this division. Again, I don't think he's better than him, but MVP wise, anybody can win MVP. So,
and rank the defenses.
Oh yeah, rank the defenses too. Actually, let's make that the question of the day. Defensive ranked in order for the AFC West, because they, again, I'm on the board with you. All of these are top half of the league defenses to me.
Exactly, but the question is, which one's the worst? That's all I want to say within the division.
All right, which one out of these four is the worst defense in this AFC West? Want to thank you guys for listening. Do please go follow us over on Twitter at @_square pod, and like, rate, subscribe, and share the podcast. I will harp on that every week. We want to continue to grow. We love making these videos and these podcasts for you, so we just want to make sure that you guys love listening to them. So let us know.
Red Kingdom.
All right. We'll catch you guys in the next one.
Good night.